Want anything to. All right, so our group chose the Apostle Islands National Park in Wisconsin. The sandstone bedrock found in the Apostle Islands dates back to nearly 1 billion years ago during a continental rifting event. Downward movement along the normal fault created a basin which was slowly filled with newly deposited sandstones and other sediments from volcanic rocks on the edges. Braided streams, which flowed northeastward as evidenced by the ripples and crossbeds in sediment, broke down the sediments and deposited new feldspar-rich sediments. The sandstone cliffs were shaped by undercutting from Lake Superior. Strong waves repeatedly struck the base of the cliffs, and due to the varying grain hardness and cemented layers, it created unique patterns such as overhangs, pillars, and the sea caves in the next slide. The dark orange, near brown color seen in the picture of the cliffs comes from oxidized iron that formed from the deposition of the original sand deposits hundreds of millions of years ago. In the bottom figure, we can see a cross section of the Apostle Islands showcasing the superposition of the different layers. That's it.
Our second feature is the sandstone sea caves. So the geologic history behind that is that the sea caves carved into the ancient coastal and river environments, which therefore caused layers to prevent cross-bedding and ripple marks. It also shows evidence of like previous water systems. There's also erosion and cave development, as like shown in the photo. Freeze-thaw cycles can sculpt arches and pillars, as well as water level changes shape the cliffs, allowing them to keep evolving. And then for the ecological and wildlife habitat, the cliff ledges and caves create nesting zones for migratory birds, as well as microclimates inside the cave support ferns and cold-loving organisms.
For our third feature, we have glacial erosion. The Apostle Islands landscape was heavily shaped by the repeated ice ages, with the most recent being the Wisconsin glaciation about 10 to 15,000 years ago. During this time, massive ice sheets spread across North America, including the entire Great Lakes region. As these glaciers advanced, they put enormous pressure on the land. They scraped and gouged the bedrock, reshaping the terrain. The weight of the ice carved out valleys and low areas as the glaciers moved. They smoothed and polished the exposed rock surfaces. When the climate warmed and the glaciers finally retreated, they left behind a mix of sediments, a mixture of sand, gravel, and boulders, known as glacial till. This material was dropped across the landscape and built distinctive landforms like drumlins, moraines, and eskers that provide visible evidence of past ice sheet movements. The islands preserve a clear record of glacial processes, offering insight into the past climate, landscape evolution, and the Great Lakes formation.
As well as the geological features, there's also the cultural significance behind the area. There's a lot of different types of resources, such as hardwood, and it has a large history, being a key site in the fur trade. During the industrial age, it switched production mostly to stone. There was a lot of quarries, there's a lot of lumber yards, and fishing, which is still actually a core part of the community today. After the Great Chicago Fire, a lot of sandstone was also used to rebuild the city of Chicago and is was used to build up Milwaukee. As well, there's a large and history behind it. Up to 20,000 Ojibwe people lived on Madeline Island since 1490 due to border conflicts with the Sioux and Fox peoples, and is currently considered a sacred site for them. They used to travel a lot between the mainland and the islands without boundary until the U.S. Started taking more control of the area and then pushed them onto reservations. So they're also currently pushing for it to become a national park so they can regain more sovereignty over the land. And due to industrialization, a lot of resources were depleted, such as the hardwood I mentioned earlier, as well as a lot of quarries are now completely unusable and empty. So these reservations also led to hardships with food scarcity relating to that. And this is our bibliography. Okay.